Okay, it's been a little while, but we're back with Roottrees.
Yes, it has been some time. And in the intervening time, I did have a Rootree accident. I'll go over in a bit.
Okay,
But yeah, let's get started. A remote stream.
that's right.
We're
Yes, I'm up in
separated.
Portland, house and cat sitting. So John's streaming this on Discord, and then I'm streaming it from Portland on OBS.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully, yeah, should be fine.
yeah, it said Cat is actually in the room with me. Her favorite spot is in the same room I have my desk set up in. So
Oh, nice.
ready to say hi to Bongo?
Hello, Bongo. We'll have to get a Bongo picture for the Discord later.
Yes.
So here's what happened. A couple days ago, I got online to just sort of retread our steps to kind of refresh my memory of what we'd done the last stream. But I accidentally searched for something I thought we'd searched for before,
Oops.
but I guess we hadn't, and it discovered a new pies of evidence, which is
Okay.
the red one down here. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll show you what I did.
Sure.
Do you remember there was a this donation to Grandorf Dove in the
That's
company
right. Yeah.
records? It was to a school for the deaf.
Yeah.
So if you do Grandorf Dove, it's about the school for the deaf, and at some point it says it was renamed the Grandorf School for the Deaf. So when you search for periodicals in Butler County, you can do Grandorf Dove and get the article about the vandalism and some of the history, the Hudson Wing. But I thought we'd also searched for Grandorf School for the Deaf here, but I guess we hadn't. And this is what I found that's new.
Oh, okay.
So Grandorf School for the Deaf has made a few odd appearances here and there in the Butler County Times since 1990. It's not too many that you can't look at all of them, and so after scrolling through a few pages, we managed to find something incredibly useful in an article that isn't even focused on the school itself. Local students provide key evidence in scientific study. The article from March of this year mentions that the Ford sisters, who attend public school in Butler County, are one of only a handful of identical twins in the world who suffer from two different genetic issues. One of them has asthma, and the other has a deadly allergy to peanuts. Their mother, a Miss Susie Ford, who was
Ah.
principal at the nearby Grandorf School for the Deaf, was originally contacted by researchers looking to identify if there were any sets of twins where one was born deaf and the other was not. While she didn't have any twins attending her school, she asked if her daughters, Melissa and Heather, could be useful, and it turns out they were. She says, "They couldn't be more different. My youngest, we all call her that even though it's only by about 15 minutes, is shy but essentially hasn't stopped running from the moment she learned to scamper. Asthma has kept her sister off the soccer field, but she's the definition of extrovert and is even performing in a local production of Is There Life After High School later this year." The article includes a picture of the girls added to evidence.
Interesting.
So this is these two, I
Yes,
assume.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have names. There's Susie. We had her. I don't think we have any additional guy photos yet. But we can look at that picture now. It's right here.
Okay.
Okay. This photo accompanied an article about a scientific study in the Butler County Times. The Ford twins were used as part of a nationwide study of how allergies and other diseases affect twins differently. The twin on the left is holding an inhaler, and the twin on the right is holding an EpiPen.
Okay, so that's how we figure out who's who.
Yeah. So this is the one with asthma. This is the one with
The peanut allergy. Yeah.
Let's see. So youngest, so oldest has asthma.
Yes.
Yeah. Youngest has the allergy. So youngest. Okay. That's right. Although I guess depending on when this was taken, they could be in college by now. Oh no, it's from this year.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Which one is which?
Let's see, Melissa and Heather. So they do have this play name. Maybe that, if we can find out what.
Oh yeah, it doesn't name them when she talks about.
Yeah, I would assume just
switch.
based on order, Melissa would be the older one, but
Yeah, that could be a lead to follow.
yeah. Okay. It seems like a high school in Butler County performed Is Their Life After High School near the end of April 1989. The cast list mentions some names, including a Heather Ford. Okay. And Heather, I think, was the older one. Or, I think the older one was in the play.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so...
So Heather.
Heather... And I've already figured... Oh, Heather Ford. I assume, unless they have their father's last name. Oh no, we just looked at it. And it's not even his he's not even their actual father, so... Unless it's secretly Heather Hudson.
Yeah.
Melissa's the other one. Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
I forget who else we have potentially teed up. Oh, the Langs. Forgot about the Langs.
Yeah, we were still confused about how.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure how this all lines up, but maybe we'll bump into some other evidence. I'm surprised we haven't really seen people with like guys' red hair yet, because I feel like that was a thing they definitely called out. But I guess these two are in black and white, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I still don't have a picture of Susan. Jeff
did mention that he initially thought it was Ganondorf School of the Deaf.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, I wanted to slot him in because I feel like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our last slot from Guy.
Yeah. This would be. Sonia. This is the other thing I looked at, but I didn't accidentally discover anything.
Stumble on evidence.
Yeah. Her husband was. Oh, maybe it was. I thought it was Eduardo Soares, but maybe I have that wrong. And this is Felipe. Okay, no, I'll have to double check all this. I don't remember exactly who all these people were. But we have evidence, though. Okay, yeah, Edson Soares was husband's name. Edson. And we have evidence for the guy there. Flavio. Flavio is such a good name for someone who looks like this.
Absolutely.
Okay, but don't have pictures for Sonia or Susan or Christine. We have like this whole mess here. I don't know what's going on down here. The potential children from
goodness.
Elias and this statue. There were a couple. One thing I wanted to check. We still have stuff from this book that apparently we need to follow up on. Here. I think there was something else I wanted to look up here. Oh yeah, the conspiracy side. I feel like they probably have something to say about all the stuff that's happening. What was it?
Would make sense.
Roottrees curse? Something. Okay.
Just thriving.
Yeah.
7 digits.
During your initial search, you came across Thomas Overwood's conspiracy page about the Roottrees. 8 months later, the page still exists and is thriving. The visitor count has reached 7 digits. Many older articles have been replaced. It seems that the recent uprising in Roottrees news has left Thomas Overwood with a constant stream of events to base new theories on. More than one of his theories involve Roottrees deaths being faked. According to Overwood, statistically, when you have this many high-profile people who have died in a family, the odds are that one of them faked their death. It's just math. This newfound focus on death faking seems to coincide with a post mentioning that he's begun believing the guy's not dead theory.
Ooh.
In his own words, my eyes have been opened. All of this is beginning to make too much sense. Guy's still out there somewhere fathering children.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. One of his posts details the belief that Ron Roottrees is still in charge, Win Roottrees' death was faked, and that Clark is only there to throw people off. Apparently, this allowed Ron to travel to France to develop their new candy recipe in secret. Another is about the rapper 5Ps. He can't possibly be a Roottrees. One of his first album songs, when he was performing under the devil name, actually mentioned that he wanted to have sex with Raina. Not even Sam Madsen is spared. According to Overwood, the author of 6 Pieces isn't real. Sam Madsen is an anagram for Am Madness. They're purposely leaving hints for us. He claims that by using 6 Pieces with Lauren Roottrees' book as a one-time pad, he has begun to decrypt a cipher. Most of the cipher has seemed meaningless, but he managed to pick out the words people and vastness and is working on figuring out what it means. There is also a request at the bottom. Next year, 2000, is a leap year, and Overwood is looking for funds and volunteers to catch the Roottrees red-handed in Operation RT-29. He specifically mentions not to volunteer if you've ever drunk Spirit Cola, but doesn't go into why.
Okay.
We may have more 5Ps information. He had a devil name at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything about the cipher made from Sam and Lauren's books.
Yeah.
Relevant. RT-29.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And Spirit Cola. Let's search for guys not dead. See if. Okay. Oh, we're printing something out. Oh, we're printing a lot of stuff out.
Oh my goodness, what? Maybe more guy pictures?
Yeah, just hopefully he has a shirt on in all of them. The Guy's Not Dead conspiracy stems from a website that focuses on clues that the Roottrees have supposedly hid all over the place. This includes on candy wrappers, in print advertisements, in television commercials, in their jingles, etc. The story, according to the website, is that Guy Hudson was a terrible president of the Roottrees company and introduced multiple failed products. Something needed to be done that would put the company immediately and instantly back in the favor of consumers, so they killed off Guy Hudson and replaced him with a new president. This move immediately garnered sympathy, and the company recovered the next year, more popular than ever. The next president stayed much further out of the limelight, and some people even theorize he was simply Guy Hudson in an elaborate disguise, which is why he stopped appearing in public. The people who run the site are asking for help. They're certain that there's a clue to all of this that accidentally leaked in a banned article from the magazine Picotee.
Picotee, okay.
On their page is a scan of the magazine's cover, the interview with Cicely Sanchez about Guy Hudson, and some photos. You add them to your evidence. Let's get Picotee magazine, not periodicals, before we go look at this.
Yeah.
Picotee is a category of flower with an outline around the edges of its petals. Okay. There we go. Picotee magazine is a publication that, as far as you can tell, has no consistent theme. It tends to contain tabloid-esque articles that appeal to a wider variety of audiences and appears in many grocery stores near the checkout line. Unlike traditional tabloids, it doesn't typically feature celebrities on the cover. Instead, it tends to latch onto and create sensationalist headlines about whatever subject appears to be popular at any given time. In recent years, this has included Beanie Babies, Magic Eye Images, and even Red Bull. It has often come under fire for printing fiction along with facts. Picotee gets around this by stating in every issue that all of its articles are all the hearsay that's fit to print. At one point, Picotee ran an article about Cicely Sanchez, an author. She claims to have written an unread book about Guy Hudson. The article was not even the main focus of the issue, yet the magazine was threatened legally by the Roottrees Corporation. That particular issue, the Big Sass Sea Bass issue, was pulled from shelves. It has now become a collector's item, especially amongst conspiracy theorists attempting to figure out what the Roottrees company was hiding. I found a recently finished online auction that listed a copy at over $1,000, though nobody bid. Get it? But more importantly, I have got to search for Big Sass Sea Bass.
Yeah.
You can't just put that in a game and not let me look for it. Big Sass Sea Bass is a talking fish that sits on a fake mount on your wall. When you press the button and speak into it, it mimics your voice and then insults you. Many people consider it a ripoff of a more popular wall-mounted communication-based fish decoration, but the packaging makes it clear that this one does not sing. Instead, what the advertisements say set Big Sass Sea Bass apart. I can't say that, that's too hard. For its competitors is a sardonic and sarcastic wit that will leave you reeling with laughter. It's oceans of fun for the whole family. They'll be hooked on this big sassy bass. The words reeling, oceans, and hooked are conveniently bolded to ensure you recognize how clever the copywriter was. Recently, it appeared on the cover of Picotee magazine in the same issue that a Roottrees-related article appeared. The issue was removed from stores after the Roottrees sued the magazine. The issue has become a collector's item and ripe for conspiracy theories about what the Roottrees were trying to keep from people.
Okay. So this links you to Picotee magazine if you just happen to search for Big Sass Sea Bass for no reason. Yeah. We can say Beanie Babies, but the singing fish lawyers are too vigilant, Jeff says.
In an issue that focused on a talking toy fish and the demonic messages it supposedly said as the batteries ran low, Picotee had an article about a canceled book by Cicely Sanchez. The book's subject was Guy Hudson, and the issue was said to contain pictures that Cicely did not have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, this issue was pulled from store shelves, making it the subject of some conspiracies and an instant collector's item. Due to this recall, the version found in these archives is incomplete. Okay. I want to see the bass! Oh, there it is. Picotee. Bass Elbub. Could this popular gift be filling homes with satanic messages? Exclusive. Cicely Sanchez reveals Roottrees secrets. And the utensil that will help you lose 50 pounds, I think. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of obscured.
Look at that evil fish. This is an interview with Cicely Sanchez, an author. She was hired to write a book about Guy Hudson. You claim to have been paid a significant amount to write a book about one of the Roottrees, Guy Hudson. He was president for a short period at the end of the 1970s, right? Yeah, I met him on New Year's Eve, actually, the last night of 1978. Guy liked to throw big parties. I was just coming off of Changed Man and looking for my next project. When his wife learned who I was, she invited me to the party and they cornered me to talk about a book. That was the first time anyone recognized me from my work. I had finally made it. The book they asked me to write sounded great, but then none of the stuff that made him interesting was allowed to stay. Chop, chop, snip, snip. Anything that even the slightest threat to Guy's image ended up gonzo. What was the stuff that made him interesting? At his core, Guy was not complicated. In fact, I think I could boil him down to two traits. First, he wanted to be seen as the second coming of the great Elias Rootree. Second, he'd never be satisfied living the life needed to be seen that way. He had his fortune and good looks, and he really liked to exploit that to pick up women. But he couldn't let anyone else know, so it cost him a lot to cover it up. That was the only interesting aspect of Guy. He was James Bond trying to convince people he was Mr. Rogers, I guess. Mr. Rogers, really? Maybe that's not the best metaphor, but Elias Rootree was boring as all hell and all about family. Guy did everything he could to be seen that way. After I submitted my first draft, he sent me this garbage book, The Rootree Legacy, with Elias on the cover. The last time he and I met, he had even switched out his orange suits for the same green ones Elias wore. And remember fancy flavors? Guy knew that part of Elias's legacy was the 5-piece flavors, so that's what Guy tried to do too. Caviar was a disaster here, but it was actually somewhat popular in Brazil for whatever reason. In Christmas 1979, he went to Brazil to open the Rootree Brazil factory. Guy was always hopping around the world trying to recreate that success. So how come the book never came out? It's complicated. I had an out in my contract. Surprisingly, Guy signed the contract my lawyers wrote without running it by anybody in his legal department.
Oops.
I could pull my name off the book at any time, but Guy still got the content. After I left, it probably got a lot harder to convince any real publisher to give it their time. He was the president, right? Do you know why he never released it himself? If I had to guess, his family very wisely put a stop to it. Mid-1981, months after I had already moved on, he called me back and showed me a final draft. Do you know how expensive it is to publish one copy of a book? It had my name on it in big shiny embossed letters. Like all problems in his life, throwing money at me was his attempt to win me back. It had half the page count and the narrative was torn to bits. No thanks. The dinner was good, imported steak that likely cost as much as a month of my mortgage, and we all got pretty drunk. He sent his mistress, Susie something, into the bathroom to proposition me. Poor girl. I remembered her from our trips overseas. She was too good for him. Anyways, he died soon after, and that was the last it ever came out. What can you tell us about the family? Any insight into the scandals from a recent book by Sam Madsen? I actually haven't read it. I just skimmed the sections on Guy to see why people were suddenly calling me up to ask about the man. I'd say she did well for what she had to work with. She only had rumors, whereas I spent time tailing him. Sometimes he knew, sometimes he didn't. He invited me to join them when dealing with Rootree Brazil, but I actually had people on him when he went to Australia, France, and China too. When he met with someone, I'd figure out who they were and how they were involved. Doubly so if the meeting happened when he didn't want me to be around. Despite his best efforts, I got the whole truth, including things even his family never knew. For example, the daughter of his business partner in Australia, I think her name was Robin, he and she definitely spent a few nights together that he didn't want his family to know about, but I did. Okay, this is another potential, if it's not the Brazilians. Madsen got things wrong. Sam mentions Guy's affairs and treats them like most people would logically think to treat them, like the infidelity was a problem for Patricia. When his wife first approached me, though, it wasn't to talk, if you get my meaning. On paper and in public, it was a marriage like any other, but in reality, it was more of a mutually beneficial arrangement. They both got what they wanted out of it, the same thing. What was that? I'm assuming I only have to spell it out so you can get it in writing for your readers. Women. Patricia enjoyed the company of women, and the swinger scene made that more accessible. I told her I wasn't interested in her and Guy. I found out later that if I had said yes, her next question would have been whether or not her husband actually had to be there too. Guy, on the other hand, was seen in a traditional marriage and at the same time could bed any woman that found him charming. I can assure you that was exactly the type of marriage he was interested in. Okay. Huh. Oh, we have some pictures here. Oh, Jesus, this guy. photo is the first from a magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez in Piketty. The issue of Piketty magazine that it came from was pulled from the shelves, but you managed to find it online. Piketty does not label its individual photos. Both photos were instead under the shared label. Cicely was provided these photos by the Roottrees company for use in her book. In the background of the photo, there is a Christmas tree. Okay. Okay, there is in the in like the company records, there is like expensive for a Christmas party, so we might be able to like use that to figure out who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Oh, there's a guy and Zach, I think.
Yeah. It won't let me click on Elias. Yeah, I think this is Zach. This photo is the first from a magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez in Piketty. The issue of Piketty. Okay. Piketty does not label individual photos. Both photos were instead under the shared label. Cicely was provided these photos by the Roottrees company for use in their book.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. We have this person's face as well. Not that person. No. Okay, this was at some Christmas party. This was maybe sometime when Zach was maybe handing off
the
job to Guy or
something like that.
Putting Guy in a new position. I wanted to see if we could find Cicely mentions like her first book or her book prior to the Guy one. I don't know if there'd be any like pertinent info in there, but yeah, I might have spelled stuff wrong. But or maybe it's just not. Okay, Portrait of a Changed Man. Cicely Sanchez is an author best known for Portrait of a Changed Man, released in 1979. Her follow-up, Foreign Gospel, did not perform as well critically, but still sold quite respectably. She has written a few more books since then, including a biography of Van Gogh, but her first two are her claim to fame. According to a site about authors, Cicely is known for her nonfiction, with a focus on exploring darkness in the human psyche. Recently, Cicely appeared in a magazine called Piketty with an article about a book she had been commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. The magazine and Cicely herself were immediately issued a cease and desist due to its inclusion of pictures that she never had the rights to publish. The issue was pulled from store shelves, making it an instant collector's. Okay. So let's... Book's description has this to say: what if everything you stand for, everything you know to be true today could disappear in an instant? All of your politics, relationships gone in the blink of an eye. Would you still be you? Cicely Sanchez tells this powerful true story about a man who woke up after being saved from drowning in his backyard pool and became an entirely different person. Included are interviews from those that knew him best before, as well as a one-on-one chat that paints an entirely different picture. You won't be able to put it down without wondering, what if that were me? Okay. What's the other book? Foreign Gospel.
Foreign Gospel.
Also out of print, Foreign Gospel tells the tale of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God that he should travel to Thailand and began to preach, specifically with the goal to convert 10,000 people. He returned to the United States after just over 2 years, claiming to have succeeded, The book tells his version of the story, but the author, Cicely Sanchez, also traveled to Thailand to investigate those claims and talk with some of the so-called converted. Let's look at company records.
I keep reading Carl Monroe as Carl Malone.
Yeah.
President of Slam Dunks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, retirement party in November of 1977.
Oh, that's when Zach's stepping down.
Yeah, Zach steps down in the beginning of 1978. Okay, so this could be Christine in this picture.
Okay.
She's a secretary around then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some more guy photos. Oh, we might have all the guy photos.
Yeah, I think so.
This one feels like the most guy to me. Just all into some lady. Trying to see if there was a way to tell what year this was.
Yeah.
In Christmas 1979, he went to Brazil to open the Roottrees Brazil factory.
Okay.
That could be the Brazilians.
Yeah.
There's a Christmas tree bash in 1978.
Was that the same year you went to Brazil?
I don't think so. I think they said it was. I think she said it was 79. Yeah, she didn't meet him until 78. It says.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
1979. Went to Brazil.
So yeah, I'm still thinking this might be 79, and this would be Brazil, and then this could be Susan Ford as his translator.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. And I guess since he wasn't hosting the party, then he wouldn't have to pay for it. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that would be Sonia. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Yeah.
Another 4. Well, we're more than halfway through.
Yeah. Roottrees Company's Affairs. Locked in Possible Infidelity 3. And we got some guy faces.
More guy faces.
Mm-hmm. Booyah.
Oh, another visit.
What if it's Guy? Oh, it's both of them.
Yeah, if we could. For Guy.
So,
Guy's alive.
the work you're doing here is fantastic.
Okay.
So fantastic, in fact.
There goes Clark. Always the bad cop. Go ahead.
Well, our law firm, Ruby Legal Enterprises, is having trouble keeping up.
Ooh.
They're actually begging us to stop submitting
Oh,
new
no.
entries. They said it's getting difficult to verify your progress.
Oh
Oops.
Well, consider that a good thing. I told Clark you'd get results.
She says that like I didn't believe her. Regardless, the bad news is it's going to take 5
my.
Oh.
Potential
before
tree
anyone
editions
logs
before
in
anyone
from now
logs.
on.
Okay.
Good luck.
And keep up the good work.
Oh my.
Are we all done with Guy then?
I think we
Oh
are
my
all done
gosh,
with
look
Guy.
at
Look
that.
at that. But that's also going to be a problem because I think these look much harder.
Yeah, these are going to be real tough.
Yeah. I'm really curious what her deal is. If, like, she's not actually the person.
Yeah.
Because she adopted these two. She's not their biological mother. I don't know anything about Mark's kids, although he apparently crashed a high school graduation and got, like, a judo thrown or something.
Okay, that's right.
And there's this.
Yeah.
Okay. This whole line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they didn't give us any new evidence. Although I guess we now have the name of a legal firm. I don't know if that's actually something we're supposed to follow up on.
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe
Mhm.
his like rap name had devil on it. But that was from the conspiracy website, right? Dirty Davy was his.
Ah.
Okay. Dirty Devil, that must be what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Dirty Devil was 5P's first mixtape from the early 90s. There's discrepancies and debates about what year exactly it was released based on some of the pop culture references. The range thought to be somewhere between 1992 and 1994. One of the songs, Yes I Can Jump, seems to be at the center of the confusion. Some fan sites claim that there are multiple versions with different track lists and song lengths on them. Though because there's very little evidence of the mixtape online as it is, it's even harder to verify that information.
Yes, I can jump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I have to look up on IMDb when White Men Can't Jump came out.
Yes. Oh, here. Popular movie from 1992 called White Men Can't Jump.
I guess I don't.
Yes I Can Jump is a song that was on 5P's mixtape Dirty Devil. Seems to be the only song that didn't make it onto his studio album that people thought should have. In it, he references a popular movie from 1992 called White Men Can't Jump. The reference has caused some confusion amongst the fan base because of it. It is agreed upon that the mixtape had to come out in 1992 at the earliest, but others point out that Phil's references seeing the movie on his 17th birthday, this would have been in 1994. Some take this to mean that the album had to have been released in 1994 at the earliest. Others claim he was likely just trying to make himself sound older, since in response to some of the more questionable lyrics, He stated multiple times that he was just a dumb kid when it was released. Okay. Oh, one thing that jogged in my memory, I remember there was like a website that was like a fan site for the Roottrees sisters, and I don't think we've checked to see if that was like updated.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that might be a thing to do. The website you used to initially place Raina, Rose, and Riley is still up, though instead of the cheery pink background with purple text, it's now a more traditional black text on a white background. Oh, it's so sad. The young webmaster has turned the site into a memorial for the sisters and their father. Seems like she did end up getting her ears pierced like Rose, after all. Regardless, there's no relevant information, just a picture of the girls with a sad MIDI piano playing in the background. From other higher profile sites, you find that a charity has been set up in the girl's name, the Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship. Excuse me. The Root website has a small memorial section to the deceased members of the family, but it contains no new information. The most recent catalog has an entirely black cover with no text on it. On the leadership page, you learn that Root is currently managed by a designer who is apparently Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognize her name, and she seems unrelated to your search. There's also a scholarship page. On it, you find information about the Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship. It is awarded to 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Apparently, it also gives them an opportunity to show off their designs on professional models on a real runway. According to the site, the fund was created directly from shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottrees sisters if they were still alive. Like other aspects of the Clancy Trust, it's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises. And that's the same law firm that we just heard about. From Clark or Sam. Ruby Legal Enterprises is the name of the law firm that has been hired by the Roottrees Candy Company. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. You can't find much about the company from before this year, though all the articles tell the same tale. After the fiasco of 6 Pieces and the revelation that the Roottrees internal law group was complicit in such a cover-up, they hired outside counsel. Ruby Legal Enterprise Group now seems to have ties to multiple aspects of the Roottrees Corporation, including the Candy Company and Root. They're recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. Okay, that leads back to Cicely. I feel like we might have seen the name Ruby Spratt somewhere before, but I don't remember. It might have been just in, like, the company records, if they've had a long relationship.
Maybe.
Ruby Spratt, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Roottrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She was the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Ruby grew up in foster care, but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. There, she graduated at the top of her legal class and was quickly hired as a lawyer for a prominent firm. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases she was a part of. One was as a legal consultant for a class-action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown of Portland with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas.
Okay.
The blurb ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Her company's services are a cross between a traditional lawyer and a PR manager. Let's keep searching for, like, proper nouns. Mid-Eastern University is a notable private college that advertises itself as midway between Maine and Miami. Their mascot is the Spectres. though they are not known for their sports programs as much as their education. Their legal and language departments are their pride and joy. They also have a fairly extensive computer science program, robotics programs. Along with other prestigious schools that haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League schools, some refer to it as a Little Ivy. The college has embraced this. Okay, this is the same college the
BattleBot lady?
the BattleBot lady went to.
Yeah.
Min Lang.
Or Min Lang, yeah.
Yeah. She changed her name to something else, though. I can't remember what. Or she's going by something else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, what evidence do we still have? That? All right, two from reminders, one from notable events, one from the Regina Clementine email.
Mm.
I'm afraid I printed out this email. I should have saved the tree. Oh, there's my email, genealogygenie@prodigy.us. Okay, there was something from that storyline that I made a note of to look up. Oh yeah, the basket baby of 1950 was what they called Mark.
Oh,
And they also mentioned a song called His Eye is on the Sparrow. Sorry, I had to cough for a second.
that's okay.
A few sites about true stories focused on and around religion mentioned that in 1950, a gospel singer named Mary once found herself dealing with a real-life baby Moses situation. Apparently, she was a rather prominent supporter of the concept of adoption, and someone decided to test how much. They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the sites, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son. Although it wasn't national news, in many circles he became known as the Basket Baby, and he even went on tour with her as he grew up. None of the websites state who the woman or baby were, likely to prevent people from looking into either of the people too closely. From context, you know that it's Mary Beth Clementine, who would later be shunned due to her personal life, and her son Mark, who would later be known as Crocodile Clementine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. His Eyes on the Sparrow is a religious hymn. It has been covered over the years by many artists, so it's likely not very relevant to your search. The premise is that the singer realizes they should not feel discouraged or disparaged by their troubles, as God is watching over every creature. If God can watch over and love something as small as a sparrow, then the singer knows that God is also there to watch over them. Okay. Super interesting. Find out more about Roottrees. Oh, okay. Clark Rafferty LaRue, as well as Ruby Spratt and her company Ruby Legal Enterprises, were featured in Business Watch after the company took over as the keepers of the Clancy Trust. There's an article about that process that interviews both Clark and Ruby. It seems that Ruby actually approached the Roottrees sometime in late March after the Rootree Rift, but well before Rootree Mania. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. Family quickly jumped on this chance, as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible to keep their shares of the Clancy Trust as high as possible. After looking over the Clancy Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Rootree's implementation was not legally sound, and that there would be constant legal challenges without some modifications. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust both legally and as a public face to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises has been described as a mix between a law firm and a PR firm. Her first move as sort of a trial run, before she was even hired permanently, was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family, declaring that they'd begin to address the Clancy Trust. This went quite well, and they officially hired her in early April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust and organizing the various charitable causes such as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased.
This was an older version of the page in the time travel archive?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's just about the Clancy Trust, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so there'd be something older about Ruby Spratt. That'd be weird.
Yeah, I was gonna check the newspaper from the university. I forgot we had access to that. Ruby Spratt graduated top of her class from the Mid-Eastern's Legal College. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious, with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. This didn't go over well with the predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. The editor of the Herald at the time said of Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Mid-Eastern with a full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. It felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of an undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished that neither of those events had transpired. It's a passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty, but unfortunately, judging by the silence, they remained unconverted. Oh, there was something at the conspiracy website I wanted to follow on. It's like Project RT29 or something. Operation.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Operation RT29. Oh. This is an old site, apparently.
Yeah.
Every 4 years on a leap year, the Rootree Company hosts a meeting with foreign agents to conspire to poison our children. Okay, that must be what Operation
That does
RTG.
ring a bell.
Yeah. Yeah, they talk about Rootree here. Oh, and also Spirit Cola. Okay. Spirit Cola is a carbonated drink found only in the southern U.S. It comes in various flavors, including lemon, lime, and cherry. None of this seems to have anything to do with the Roottrees. Dang it.
Oh, shucks. Or just as he remembers us talking about polyglycerol.
Yeah, I think I remember that vaguely. We haven't checked Brian's website, I don't think. Oh, no, we did for the baby photo. That's right.
That's right.
I haven't checked up on Aloysius Herring Rootree.
Oh, yeah.
It's fake. I probably spelled that wrong. Yeah, it's just an old. Okay. I bet it's something to do with the insight we haven't had. I bet it's something to do with Family Man.
Uh-huh.
It seems like a path we have to go down at some point. Oh yeah, we haven't looked up Anonymon and Jane Doe Rootree at all, but those are confirmed not Rootree, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But it's possible they might have something. Anonymon was the second high-profile case after Felix Fellows of a potential new Rootree being added to the Clansett Trust. Instead of claiming herself a Rootree, however, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a Rootree. The accusation came during the height of Rootree mania. Began with a brief TV interview. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice, promoted an article about herself in News Time. The TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Rootree. The name Anonymon was not self-inflicted. It seemed to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. The day after the News Time article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymon due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. The momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymon went on a media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. More details came out. People became skeptical of her story due to the extreme similarity to 5Ps. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. This included her job, secretary, in the time period late 70s. After fumbling the five-piece story so publicly, the Roottrees were more prepared to handle all claims of trust-related cases. Within a week, a DNA test proved that Anonymom's daughter could not be related to the Roottrees. This was announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Roottrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Immediately after the negative results were released, many of those who had already been skeptical felt vindicated. Others who had built up hope that history could repeat itself after 5Ps felt duped. Many people suspected the whole affair had been a hoax to gain fame and money. Many demanded that Anonymom be held accountable, and some people even began to attempt to track down her true identity. The Roottrees company felt pressured to put out a second statement to try to curb some of the backlash, even going so far as to say, though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not a Roottrie, this doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it has been verified that her stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Many people claim this high-profile anticlimax and public backlash was the beginning of the end for Roottrie mania, since much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Rootrees. Others think that, like any fad, it just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to the release of 6 pieces, and things soon went back to normal. Jane Doe Roottree has already been eliminated as a potential new Roottree by the company's lawyers. For the ones verifying your work, Anonymom's affair does not appear on your updated tree. Okay. Something super interesting. Well, apparently she was in News Time.
Printing something out.
Yeah. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. The first and only mention the phrase Anonymom in News Time came that week, after when they issued an apology for featuring her in the first place. Okay. It won't let me click on the pixelated. Well, there's no inside here, though. It was determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Roottree. This article, which did refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree, but did not coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all that, right around the time of her first TV interview. This is a summary. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after a 5-piece was confirmed to be a member of the Roottree family. In homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5-piece, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as a secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period. Many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified as neither had typewriter experience. According to the other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women.
Ugh.
Yikes. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seemed being excused to have after parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these after parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in News Time, she realized that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottrees company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Joanna was telling the truth right away.
Okay, so this is another source for 5P's mother's name.
Yeah. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Roottrees, and all of the payments were allegedly made in cash. However, using details that she provided to News Time, the reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They both successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women. confirmed the existence of the infamous after parties. Five-piece case was strengthened, and the new story was subsequently published. Okay. Probably figure out maybe who this is based on the company records, but I don't suppose it's really that necessary.
Yeah, at least not at the moment.
Yeah. So probably Beatrice Watts, Corin Sanchez, also Lisa Lewis. I guess there's a ton of secretaries, so it's hard to narrow down. Guy really went through them. I was wondering if we could find these press releases. It's possible we've looked for these before. Okay, this is new there. 3 press releases from the Roottrees Candy Company after the release of 6 pieces were referred to as the Roottrees Rift due to the clear conflicts between them. The first was fairly standard, stated that there was no president of the Roottrees Company, but that the entire family was made aware of the release of the book and that they would be meeting as soon as possible. Only then could they verify the legitimacy of the claims it raised and decide next steps. The second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottrees would be taking over temporarily as an interim president. It also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book, had verified the claims within, would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. It also stated that company lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the claims and trusts terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the 2 press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather a majority of the family, even using conference calls. This was reported on many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day. It claimed that a draft of the announcement was made prematurely and that Clark Rafferty LaRue and Ron Roottrees would be taking over as the company's first joint presidents. It also stated that any compensation plan would be based on a stringent verification process. I feel like this is the first we've heard of Ron really being involved as a president. I was wondering if we were gonna...
Which one was Ron again?
Ron was one of the actress's sons. He's the one who sued his brother to try to get him kicked out of the trust because he embezzled money from him.
That's right.
Ron was announced as president of Roottrees during the Roottrees Rift. The next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would take over. A few weeks later, Ron was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development, but most articles are retelling of basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. Ron has also done some interviews saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Instead, he hopes to release a movie about it someday. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother, Gwen, died in Paris, France. He and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. Okay.
Rest in peace, Gwen, I guess.
Yeah. These Roottrees are just dropping like flies. Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after the Rootree rift about what really happened with Rootree. The article mentions that nobody from Rootree that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. It said the timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are also the most vague parts, the ones supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Rootree died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Rootree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions and because he was a well-known and well-respected Rootree. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clancy Trust to remove Robbie Rootree. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled, and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was in the limelight and released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark. But according to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. It seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clancy Trust. They eventually let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about, but seemed like the safest choice. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Gwen Rootree was a somewhat well-known actress who was active in the 1950s. Her biggest role was in the minor hit movie Guys Like Us. She died in Paris, France about 3 weeks ago. After leaving Hollywood, she made no effort to stay in the limelight, and most obituaries tend to focus on her largest role, Guys Like Us. Not much is known about her death, except that it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden, severe case of pneumonia. Before that, she had apparently been in relatively good health, according to her friends and family in Paris. She was 67. I'm sure the conspiracy theorists are being very
The
normal
wheels are
about that
turning.
sudden, mysterious death. Search for feigned doubt to see if there's anything different from what we searched with Anonymon. Doesn't seem so. Okay. The interesting thing for me about this is that the email has like an intuition thing. None of the other stuff from that case does, like not this photo, like this photo.
Yeah. I don't think we saved a tree and
Yeah,
didn't print it out.
we sure didn't. I don't know if we ever searched for Sam's book here. I don't know if there'd be anything new we'd find, but. Okay, yeah, we might have because those sections are already in our notes. Okay. Follow up on Mary Beth. We never looked into this record label.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something. New Edison was a small record label based in Los Angeles that existed for a few years in the 40s. A race to release cover records of songs that were gaining in popularity. According to a website about the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. Okay, that might be Mary Beth's husband that she kept divorcing. Its biggest claim to fame is being sued by the estate of Thomas Edison in Edison Records versus Edsel. You also find a few references to New Edison and Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of The Old Rugged Cross. It says that the first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. Okay, so that might be how we find her real name.
Yeah.
Another site claims that the police had to be called to New Edison Records after its owner Sterling Edison got in a physical altercation in public, leading to a divorce. There are no cited sources or evidence, and the site's content seems user-submitted. There's an email address at the bottom in the phrase, "Send me your stories about old Hollywood and I'll add them to the page." Okay. Let me put his name in real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess we don't know for sure that's him yet, but I feel good about it. The Old Rugged Cross. The Old Rugged Cross is a popular hymn that has been covered by many, many artists. You won't find much relevant information about it online. Rats.
Shucks.
Edison Records was one of the first record labels named after Thomas Edison. The history of the company seems very unimportant except for potentially a lawsuit they filed in 1949, Edison Records v. Edsel. Excuse me. A website about lawsuits mentions this as a fun case because the name of the lawsuit was actually the biggest problem for the person being sued. A record producer who called himself Edison was immediately outed as not actually being named Edison. Edsel was a German last name, and at the time of the founding of the company, the U.S. was at war with Germany. The company's founder immediately settled to try to get the case to go away, but the damage was done.
Oops.
Okay. So maybe his real name was Edsel.
Yeah.
But I don't know how relevant.
I'm curious about this physical altercation, but it says there's no cited sources or evidence.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have any, like, thing we could search that would be, like,
Yeah.
LA based.
Yeah, that would be the closest.
Yeah. Okay, nothing. Okay, Modern Music Monthly has something about New Edison.
Okay.
Seems that New Edison Records and Modern Music Monthly had quite a lot of overlap. There are countless advertisements for various covers of popular songs, and they all start to blend together. When you scan the results for anything other than an advertisement, you do find a very brief blurb from when New Edison was sued by Edison Records. By the time the magazine had covered it, it seems like the lawsuit was settled out of court. New Edison was destined to shut down. The owner, who went by Sterling Edison, said he'd likely create a new record company, but there's no evidence anywhere that he did, and that was the last mention of him in MMM. I don't think we searched for him alone. Okay, it just leads back to New Edison.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mary Beth Clementine released The Old Rugged Cross for New Edison. It was advertised quite a few times. When it was first reviewed by the magazine, however, it listed the artist as Mary Beth Quaker.
Ooh.
So we have her birth name. Yeah. Still kind of religious. Actually, more religious than Clementine, really.
And Jeff says that last name's also better for selling oats.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm always in the market for oats.
They're good for you.
Mm-hmm. I don't fold up on Jim, but I can't imagine what he'd have treated. Jim and Diamond apparently sent out some mail to Diamond Stazzlers that mentioned that they didn't spend a lot of time near or around the candy company anymore, so they couldn't really comment on any recent news. A best of album did get released to CD during Roottrees Mania, and while neither of them have performed recently, the couple did do a few signings at local record stores near their estate. During question and answer sessions, Jim has stated that he hasn't been inspired to write any new lyrics. As far as you can tell, Jim and Diamond's marriage is still doing just fine, and there have never been any rumors of infidelity about either of them. That's nice.
Still rock solid.
Mm-hmm. In the wake of Six Pieces' release, Lauren Roottrees, author of A Life Between Wars, was tracked down by a reporter being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pond on the premises. Okay, just old stuff.
Old stuff.
Oh,
Okay,
something came out. I realized we hadn't searched for her, and she gets mentioned. After the release of Six Pieces, Carolyn Morden did a television interview. Someone has uploaded a partial transcript of that interview on the television section of a messaging community. The transcript is only her answers and is missing the questions. This creates a somewhat confusing reading experience, but does give you a bit more history about Carolyn and some of her family members. Okay. This was a cable news interview. A transcript of only Carolyn's answers has been posted on a site about television. Thanks for having me. I've never really fit into the family, so it didn't surprise me. She could have put me in if she wanted to talk about the time during my activism days when I almost got arrested for stealing the spark clubs out of all her tractors, but I don't really think it fit her narrative. Yes and no. They never tried to kick me out or send me to live on a farm, if that's what you mean. But I was already pretty unpopular, and once everyone learned why I divorced my husband, few people paid me any attention. She's my wife, not legally, but we've been together for half our lives. Call it what it is. I was 20 and had just had my daughter. I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband and followed a guy on a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. I found love and a better understanding of who I was. Still, in our family's eyes, his trip was somehow more acceptable. Explain that. No, I couldn't stand him. Our family wrote off his behavior like he was some huge fan of romance or women, but he didn't like the entire woman. It was doubly awkward for me because he was more supportive than most. I slowly figured out it was because he assumed I would be as shallow as he was. He was a workaholic. He seemed nice enough and did a good job. I didn't know him well. That was one of Sam's problems with our family. None of us did except Carl. Honestly, I get why she's pissed. I'd rather not speak ill of the dead, not unless you want more stories about Guy. With Carl, though, all I can say is we used to be friends before they sent him to private school. He came back a lot judgier. It made sense when they made him president. He was a lot like my father after they disciplined the fun out of him. After I started protesting the farms, he stopped returning my calls. Oh well, he's harder to label. When I was a teenager, he was basically drunk or high or both all the time. He actually used to sell me pot. His problems with women were different than guys, but he never really judged me. I guess he knew it would be pretty hypocritical to judge anyone for anything. Back then, he was destructively unreliable in every way, but nowadays he's just kind of boring and old. I prefer that to how he used to be and to Guy and Carl, but it's still a cautionary tale. Hope I'm never that boring and old. Maybe that's Clark?
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be my guess.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of the notable events things, though, that piece of evidence. We're down to 3. We do have the duck if we're stuck. Don't know where to look next. If you're completely stuck, try talking it through with your rubber duck.
Yeah, right now we need to find where, was it alligator or crocodile? What's his name?
Yeah, I think it's crocodile.
Crocodile.
Yeah.
Because he apparently has grandkids, or at least one.
Yeah. Crocodile Clementine is listed on a website titled The Infamy List. It's a massive list of criminals who are known for odd crimes. Although Mark's nickname would imply he hails from Florida, a lot of others on the list come from there, or Australia. Mark is listed as being from Los Angeles. He has a pretty big entry. He seems like a real piece of work. There's a very small note about him being the basket baby of 1950, but most everything else comes from his adulthood. He lost his job in 1975 as a pilot for a regional airline after he tried to board the wrong airline's plane. He was drunk. He's charged with trespassing and assault. 1982, he's arrested for transporting smuggled animals over the Canadian and Mexican borders for an illegal reptile supplier in Los Angeles. He was apparently quite successful for the first 4 years, but was caught when he had to make an emergency landing in Portland after he was bitten on the foot by a crocodile. Hence
I
the
remember
nickname.
that story.
Yeah. Apparently, the Portland Telegraph is credited as having given him his nickname. His mugshot from the incident has been added to your photos. 1993, he was released on parole, but his freedom didn't last long. He was arrested in 1994 in San Diego for violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. Famously punched the principal, a man named Billy Sims, and received national press.
Yeah, I remember looking up Billy Sims. Sandstone Canyon High School.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if he'd show up anywhere, but we didn't have this tabloid before, so... Piketty magazine is kind of sleazy, so they're not afraid to publish a few details that more reputable news publications normally wouldn't. You look up the Billy Sims incident, and it seems they did report on it, gain a few new bits of information, though it might not be useful. Billy Sims was once arrested for throwing a Molotov cocktail at a company that was found to be testing their products on animals. According to police paperwork, Crocodile Clementine's bail was paid for by Tostarito Jacobson. It was fairly expensive. Piketty interviewed other students that were at the event to find out if anyone knew anything. The word going around was that Mark Clementine showed up because his daughter Mary was
Mary.
graduating that night. Makes sense, and named after his
mother.
Yeah. We don't know which one it is yet.
Toastorito Jacobson. And you can't not note that name.
Yeah. Expire search. Fuego's Fiesta, a regional Mexican fast food chain held by a competition in 1993 that offered free meals for life to anyone that legally changed their name to Tostarito. The Tostarito was a burrito with a cylindrical tostada shell inside the flour tortilla. According to a few different sources, Tostarito Jacobson used to be named Lucinda.
Okay. All right, then.
Yeah. I suppose that could be Mark's spouse.
Yeah.
Maybe, because she does have one on the chart. They are split up.
It seems like the most likely candidate to bail him out, but
Yeah.
Kids might be a little young to be able to afford bail, especially if it's like expensive enough to be noteworthy.
Yeah.
Then again, does this look like one of them is a parent themselves?
Yeah.
Now, when you enter her name, is it going to be Tostarito or Lucinda?
Yeah. We should check that out now. Oh, Tostarito's not in there.
Shucks.
That would be great. Lucinda isn't either, so.
Yeah. Strange.
And there's no Jacobson, so this might just be not the mother of his children, but just maybe someone he knows.
Someone who loves Mexican food.
Okay.
And we do have... that was his daughter Mary, but if we search Mary Clementine...
Yeah, I don't know what will
result.
come up, but we can...
Yeah.
Newstime have anything on that? Okay. Newstime did a small piece about a fight between Sims and Crocodile that tried to approach it from a different perspective. Their goal was to paint a picture of the two men involved from others who knew them best. Not only did they manage to interview Sim's wife Carla, as well as multiple staff members at his school, but they hunted down Colleen Webb, Mark's ex-wife. According to the section with Colleen, she and he met when he worked for an airline. She worked in an airport newsstand. He was a drinker and would often have wild mood swings. When he was charged with assault of a fellow pilot in 1975 and lost his job, they divorced. At the time, she was pregnant with their second daughter, and she felt she needed to get out before things got worse. She left him and moved to San Diego to live with her sister, and told her oldest that her dad had to fly planes for the army. She raised them both by herself, and although she never went through the trouble of changing their names legally, they used the web name so that nobody would connect them to her ex-husband.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have the wife's name now.
Yeah, Colleen. And it looks like the kids used the web as the last name.
And they're both girls, apparently.
Yeah. Web. Okay. Mary Webb in San Diego has a website called Web on the Web. Apparently, it's a personal travel diary that also doubles as an advertisement for her travel agency.
Oh.
There are descriptions of Mary's services, including booking flights and cruises. Almost all of them involve extremely niche audiences. It seems Mary is the #1 agent when it comes to booking spiritual vacations aboard ghost ships and in specific hotel rooms that are said to be haunted. She also has this is great. She also has a dedicated section for more traditional modern cruises that cater to specific groups, such as fans of boy bands.
Oh my god, if you could somehow combine those.
Yes. If there was like a boy band where the entire band died like suddenly and tragically, and now they were haunting an old concert venue, that'd be perfect.
That's like a Disney Channel movie or something.
Yes. Like the beginning of Ghost Ship, but with a boy band.
Yes. Jeff says he's sure there's a K-pop or J-pop band that has that gimmick.
Yes. I would hope so. It could also be like a VTuber generation for
absolutely
like any of those. They're all the ghost members of a dead boy band. In the diary entries, she talks about the trip she's personally taken and uses that as an opportunity to feature descriptions of amenities and excursions that the ships offer, even when you're on them to see a specific band or ghost.
Respectively.
Mm-hmm. There's also pictures of ships, hotels, landmarks, and places she's visited, as well as a picture of Mary herself with a ship in the background. One of her diary entries actually mentions the day that the photos were taken. She was allowed onto the ship on a port day in San Diego with a professional photographer she knows. The photo of Mary has been added to your evidence.
Nice.
Corporate composition photography.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that might be important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mary Webb from her website, Web on the Web, paranormal travel agency. She's apparently found a niche booking vacations for lovers of the strange and unknown. This is a photograph of Mary in front of an alleged ghost ship from the 1800s. It was lost at sea and turned up without any crew several years later. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Fans love to tour it and come up with their own paranormal theories. A company called Corporate Composition Photography is listed on the top left. I wonder if that's maybe like her sister or maybe her brother-in-law's company. Corporate Composition Photography is a photography studio that was listed on a few different sites for businesses in San Diego. It seems to have been possible to hire them to take professional quality photos for businesses of all sorts. As far as you can tell, it appears to no longer exist. The company is also mentioned on a photography site with some IRC chat logs. It seems like the site is the personal page of a member of an IRC photography channel. They have archives of logs they've been saving since 1993. One of them was from 1996 when Val, the former head photographer from Corporate Composition Photography, did a Q&A with their users about taking pictures for promotional materials and print ads. Most of the questions and answers are pretty technical. They not only seem irrelevant, but generally go over your head. One of the questions, however, mentions that Val was on the cover of Telephoto and asks about Iraq. The question was quickly shut down by the person running the Q&A, who said, Val does not wish to answer any questions from his photojournalism days, nor does he wish to talk about LBP. Please keep this on the subject of commercial photography.
Interesting.
Yeah. We have a new magazine, though.
Jeff has some important things in chat. The band that sung the opening to Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans IARC has the backstory that they were genetically engineered wolves created by the mad scientist Jimi Hendrix.
That's perfect.
So Ghost Ship Boy Band has to be like Milk Toast already done shit.
Yeah. Oh, that does remind me. G Kids has secured the right to do a theatrical screening of the first 3 episodes of the new Gundam show, like they
Ooh.
did for Dan to Dan. So we should probably do that.
Nice.
Go see some robots.
Mm-hmm. The last Gundam show is pretty good.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about that, but I haven't gotten into it yet. I know it is apparently pretty gay, which is
Yeah.
Okay. We have telephoto now.
That's right.
We have a
yeah,
picture of Billy
hero.
Sims. No. Damn, I want to see what this guy looks
I
like.
want to see Billy Sims knocking out
Yeah, I want
Crocodile.
to see like full motion video with real life actors of Billy Sims doing this wrestling somersault move. Okay. Rock.
Hmm.
Huh. Okay. Laura's bras and panties.
Thinking baby photography or luxury bridal photography.
Yeah. I'm doing this one first because we could use a photo of a baby.
Yes.
At some point, probably.
And look at that.
Yeah. Lincoln Baby Photography seems like a solid lead as it mentions a Val, an award-winning photographer, on the page. It's a business in Beacon, New York, and on the site has a picture of a baby and a camera captioned with Cam Lincoln reaching for his namesake. I guess he takes after his father, Val. The bottom of the website says copyright 1998 to 1999.
Okay.
All right.
There's a baby.
It won't let me absorb his face, though.
That's weird.
Oh, there we go. I was just... The boxer clicking was a little odd.
I guess he looks kind of like Miracle.
Yeah. All right, we have a full name for Val now, so we can
That's right.
put that into telephoto. Or not a full name, maybe, but a last name.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Val Lincoln was featured in Telephoto. The cover, which featured one of his photos, as well as portions of the article, have been added to your evidence. Oh my. Oh wow. Telephoto is a photography magazine. This 1992 issue focuses on the photos of Val Lincoln, a photographer who went overseas during Desert Storm. He won the Sepia Award for photojournalism, specifically for the photo on the cover. Val got his start in high school when he took a photography class because, in his own words, he couldn't decide what else to do and thought it would be the best career in the world to shoot for Playboy. But he quickly found he had a knack for it and began to skip lunch in his free periods to spend more time in the darkroom. After graduating, he tried to pivot to landscape photography, but didn't have any passion for it. I work much better when I'm trying to tell the story of a person or an object. He got lucky when a photographer mentor of his who was going overseas to cover the war decided to take a chance on him. Most people wouldn't call it lucky to go to an active war zone for no pay, but he bought my plane tickets, all my meals, and even pulled some strings so we could rush my passport. Someone that never had a real job or even left California, it was a hell of a break. Val was only 19 at the time and shot the photo that won him an award the third night he was there. The photo depicts Lisa Clementine, who lost an arm in Operation Desert Saber. According to the article, women were not subject to direct combat and Lisa was in a vehicle at the time. The vehicle had to pull over suddenly when the road ahead was partially destroyed and she and a fellow soldier were severely injured by a landmine. Val says, I ran into Lisa just after her surgery and took this picture. Then, until she shipped out, I kept finding excuses to go back and take more pictures of her. I guess it was fate because that's the photo that won me an award, got me into your magazine, and also led to my engagement. Just earlier this week, she agreed to become Mrs. Lincoln.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. Lisa Clementine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the one that's married with a child.
Yeah. And this is Cam.
Yeah.
So Lisa and Cam are the ones who...
Yeah.
There's Lisa.
It's interesting she went by Clementine.
Yeah. Wonder if she like reconnected with her dad, maybe.
Yeah.
Or... military there. And then this would be Mary. She's a travel agent. We got a baby. Cam.
And it's not unknown name baby this time.
Not this time. Okay.
Cool.
I think if we get one more name, we
Yeah.
lock in. But we are almost at 2 hours.
Yeah, I
And
see there's
it
6
might take a
names
while
there.
to get a name
Yeah.
from the Elias tree. So we could call it here and then pick up once you're free to stream again.
Yeah, I think that works. We finished off 2 major trees.
Yeah.
And we could finally start tackling this one that seems like it
Yeah,
might be
this
the
one
most
feels
difficult
like-
one.
This is the final boss.
Yeah.
Or the final dungeon. I suppose there's probably an actual final boss after we have
Yeah.
everything locked in, like there was with the base game.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll see if maybe we can stream again Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right.
Until then.
Yep. Until then.